Okay, hello, welcome to a Pencil Plays discussion. I'm trying to branch out into some different formats, and um, I decided that with the announcement of MYST, there's just like so many things I want to talk about that I feel like it's worth putting of its own little discussion video. So I've been intrigued by a lot of ideas that could go into like either a new MYST game or a remake that would utilize. Uh, New ways to interact. This started around the time the Connect was announced. Um, there's a lot of ideas I had for what Connect could do that were just never really realized. And one of them was the idea of having accessories for the Switch, for the Switch, for the Connect. That would basically be like a steering wheel, that's just a plastic steering wheel with maybe some like light emitters on it, um, or something to further help connect, in different lighting situations. But basically, it would ideally it would just be a plastic steering wheel, and the Kinect would have there'd be a code in the game that worked with the Kinect to detect the shape of the steering wheel, and you could use a plastic steering wheel to control a game with the Kinect sensor. Um, for a game like this, though, I imagine like a glove that would potentially just have like very vibrant colors on each of the fingers. Um, and maybe some infrared LEDs or something. I don't know. Like if we really have to go an extra step, but like mainly if each finger has a very vibrant, different vibrant color on it, and the sensor would pick up those colors, and then like you could use it like a power glove should have worked. And hmm, uh, you know, do things that way. Um, and like interact with the game more precisely. And I'm imagining with VR, and I can imagine this working maybe a little bit better with regard to something like Vive or the Oculus, where they have actual like controllers that are designed to allow you to actually like interact with it in a more tactile fashion. Um, Whereas with with PlayStation VR as it stands right now, anyway, um, you only have the move controllers, which are just like you're holding out a wand. There's basically it's effectively a move controller, so it doesn't. Um, I'm hoping that with the PS5, there'll be a new PlayStation VR. Um, Ideally, you could use the same HMD. Like the HMD should be um forward compatible, with the PS4 or PS5. I believe it is. They haven't really talked a lot about it. I'm imagining that they're waiting um, a bit to unveil something. But I imagine what they're going to do primarily is a new HMD or head-mounted display that's a little more higher resolution, has maybe a few more functionality, but again, ideally, it would not uh, you know make the original HMD obsolete. Because people invest in it, that you don't want to buy a whole new headset just to play games. And I think the headset, in terms of its functionality and what it brings to the table in terms of the actual experience of VR, is fine. I don't think they need to do anything more with it aside from maybe making the experience a little more, maybe a little more refined in some ways. Um, Maybe better in some regards, but not necessarily like the degree where like you need the new headset for certain game. Or for any like next gen VR game. Like uh, I think the main focus should be a new controller that is roughly in line with what you can get for the Vive and the Rift. It gives you some ability to actually like, interact with things in a more tactile fashion. Um, Probably some haptic feedback type things in there too. Um, like I think there's definitely like an opportunities to because the move controllers are literally like even older than PlayStation VR itself. So I think they need to create new controllers and focused on that as the requirement. So you can still use the same head-mounted display. There'll be a new one that's a little fancier in some ways, but um, maybe wireless. I'm not sure if technology is quite ready for that yet. But yeah. Um, so I can kind of see a game like this potentially requiring the new tech for the PS5 uh, VR2 rather than. I mean, I would. I mean, I haven't really played Abduction. I don't know if I have it on PS4 or not. Um, like I've seen like videos of it, and it looks like the textures are really muddy. Um, and it doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't have PS4 Pro support. So, um, but I am still kind of curious as to uh how the interactivity works. Um, but yeah, like I said, I've always been intrigued by the idea of having a you know a more tactile experience with a missed game. Um, Beyond that, I've had ideas. But I actually put a comment on the video, but I want to share it here too. Um, and along with a few additional ideas that I don't think I mentioned there, which is I've always had the idea of a game. Like I like to come up with ideas for games and even games I don't own the rights toward, but obviously I don't own the rights of Myst. That's Cyan. But uh, it's fun, fan fiction, that sort of thing. I've had the idea of a concept that I'm going to call Mystery Visited, but it could just call it Myst. And and it's obviously what they're calling this. Um, and it's gonna probably put back any potential of any idea like what I have coming to light because there's so much confusion. But my idea was to create a remake of Myst that is an actual proper remake, as Warren would call it. That actually seeks to improve and enhance and kind of retell and um, there's a degree to which the information we do have um seems to indicate that they're leaning in that direction a little bit. Um, but I'm still very skeptical of the screenshots and what we've heard about it so far. Um, because the most I've heard about is like a real improvement would be that they're giving the option for puzzle randomization, which I think is pretty good. For certain puzzles, I don't think it's going to be as really um, much of a way to make things fresh. Because like if you're talking about like the channel wood, not channel wood, the puzzle to get into the stone ship age, um, you can randomize that easily. You know, have the it's finding the different constellations, punching them in, and um, I guess there is a degree to which, I might take that back a little bit because, like, actually identifying the different constellations might be a little tricky. Um, from a visual standpoint. So there may be a little bit of okay, like these are the stars that link together into the constellation. Um, so yeah, like that. Um, that may present itself with a little bit of an extra challenge. Um, versus simply like knowing the solution. Obviously, the big thing that this would do is, at least potentially, I'm not sure how exactly they'll implement it. Um, granted, the way I would implement it would be through what I'm already going to change, um, which is how you interact with the brothers. Um, um, which I might as well um get to. Um, but this is probably well, there's two major changes. One is to make Mist Island into more than just a hub world. Um, in some ways, it's already more than just a hub, but um, I want to create the sense that it's a place where people live, which I believe in canon is supposed to be. So we need to have probably the library. It's possible I get rid of tower rotate the tower, um, or move it in a way, in some way. Basically, probably the door would normally lead into the tower section would instead be going into like at the very least like 3 bedrooms, one for Sirius, one for Akinar, and then one for Catherine and Atris. Master bedroom for Catherine and Atris, probably study. Maybe a dining room and kitchen, if we really want to get super detailed. Um, and potentially like move a lot of. I mean, the tower is I guess a very significant part of the game. So there probably would be something of that, but like you might have some of the hints actually spread out into for the other ages spread into the um somehow into uh the living areas to make them more than just for show. Um, but like the tower could potentially be changed into something that's just an overlook uh, of the island, maybe. Puzzle elements like puzzle hints and such integrated somehow. Um, I'm not quite sure how I would do that, but um, the sort of expanding upon the island, making it feel more lived in, is a pretty significant thing that I would want to change in a proper remake of Myst. Um, I mean, we look at the mountain, like if the library is built into the mountain, then there could be of a fair degree of which, like it's just fanning out into that mountain area, carving into it and building rooms out of this, from the stone using like dummy techniques or something. Um, but uh, the second thing I would do is change the chat book. Um, hardcore Myst fans are probably already aware that the chat books are effectively retconned later on as they just don't exist. I would probably revise that somewhat just to like I would probably have a journal or something you find like post game that would explain the crap book as simply a means for capturing Gen in Ribbon. Um, like it would not exist. It might be something that like Adrian mentioned he considered using for for potentially dealing with travelers who stumbled upon the myth of Leaking. But yeah. Um, hmm. So the we would be replaced with prison agents. Um, and the concept of how that would work would be that you would have a sort of it would write kind of a little bit of Myst 4, but Myst 4 itself was retconning Myst. So um, yeah, we're really just sort of retconning is a little bit of both. Um, with this. In Myst 4, if I recall correctly, the little visitor center, like the actual lore, as I understand it, for the prison ages, was that they were simply that they were ages that like habitable, like, um, had no linking book back. So you link in and you just stuck there. And that's kind of uh um problem because in terms of integrating that into a MYST Remake, straight up. And the idea is that like Catherine had sort of discovered ways and refined a means of editing to things to them, type structures to the world. Um, it's very tricky because you can just change where the link is going toward. If you change too much. Um, but Catherine kind of figured out how to deal with that somehow. Um, that actually goes all the way back to Ribbon, with like the giant knife sticking out of the ground with something that apparently Catherine wrote into each. Um, and of course, Atris was making little changes here and there to try to stabilize and at least hold off the demise of the age of Ribbon. But regardless, the idea it was that Catherine actually like wrote these structures into the prison agents. So you had like a visitor center, where they could visit students from Akinar and talk to them and interact with them safely. Um, and they're made of like a almost indestructible substance. Um, but um, my idea is that there would have been structures there from the beginning. Um, because we kind of need them to be. So the idea for these visitor center structures is that they would be basically the Lincoln points, obviously. Um, so you link it to the chamber, and if you are the first to arrive, um, there would be there would be only one way out. There'd be like so you link in. There's this circular room that you're standing in. No clear linking book out, so that's like already a little weird. But like you basically had no choice. You had to, curiosity or just literally having no other place to go. You're gonna step out, and there's gonna be a pressure plate or some sort of mechanism that is going to cause it so that the moment you step out, the door that faces the exit or the entrance is sort of the exit from the structure, the entrance into the greater world. Um, that swings around and faces the opposite direction, which leads into yet another chamber with the linking book back. But you're barred from it, so you're stuck in the age. You know, so it may resemble in some ways the structure from Myst 4, like fall back to it. Obviously, the way the age itself looks is going to be a homage to Myst 4. Um, but The idea is that you need like 5 keys. I think there's 5 stages. So you need like 5 keys. You need 5 red keys or 5 blue keys, and you can pick up both in one trip if you manage to find both of them. Um, because that only makes sense. Um, and then as you go, you have like a signal that you can a button that like triggers the signal that will draw the brothers um um toward the structure. And for the sake of brevity, they'll usually be nearby. Happen to be nearby, so we have to like wait like however many minutes or even hours for them to uh hear and see the signal and um get to you. We're just bend and sleep for the sake of brevity, basically. Um, but that's how I would do it. And you miss the whole cutting in and out um aspect of the chat books. Um, but you get to have more detailed interactions with them and gradually kind of learn more about them and what they're like, and the true nature kind of coming out a little bit more and more. You know, um, and yeah, and then for the final stage, you would um probably a note of some kind. Maybe they're like there would be a like a a little thing where you can like send objects back and forth or something. Um, maybe. Um, and you like find a note in there that would tell you like which page of the combination book you need to use for the fireplace. Um, or something like that. Or you could just completely change how the fireplace thing works. Um, or I literally like give you a page of the combination you need to put with the schematic of the combination that you need for the fireplace. Um, and it would be random. Um, it might actually make more sense. Like, they could be doing this in person, but um, obviously they couldn't like, if it wasn't like a page of various combinations that like from a realism standpoint, like um why would you just build up a bunch of combinations, hundreds of which don't seem to do anything, and only one actually is the true combination? Like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think it would be interesting if it was just the case that like both the brothers sort of know the combination by heart, or the pattern by heart, and just like draw it for you. Um, that way you don't have to like record them saying like it's page 127, or page like going through like multiple recordings of like every possible combination of every single page that could be randomly there. The only other way I can imagine them doing it would be to just have it like it's not really like just a random page. It's just um from like a selection of like maybe like 25 pages or something. So they only have to record review the cutscene or the dialogue or whatever. Like so many times without having to like go with every possible page. It's just like a selection of pages that could be potential candidates for the combination you need. Um, that's another possibility. But um, another idea I had is that like you might find like mementos that each of the brothers might like to have, and you can like send it for the gift um hatch, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Um, and like you can gain like rep points with each of them, and there could be even more like alternate endings based on how much rep you build with each of them. And those would, in a mechanical kind of sense, be like the pages. At least like what they were in the original game, where you could only carry one at a time, because that actually makes sense from a realism standpoint. That you can only like depending on how big they are, like you probably can only really realistically carry. You can carry. It never made sense. Like you could always like how can't you carry two different pages with you at a given time? It's like if you're gonna um and I mean that's the other reason why I would also change the whole prison thing is because it never really made sense in the context of Myst itself. Like, how did the pages like vanish from the book the moment they got trapped, and then end up in completely different ages? Like, it doesn't make much sense. So like having these keys that like Aetius was like really paranoid or just really cautious, and one key was not enough, and not he wanted to have multiple keys spread across multiple ages. Um, you know, you can suspend your disbelief a little more easily than the whole idea like the pages just magically um vanish and spread themselves across these different ages. Like, yeah, that's just kind of weird when you really start to think about it. And there could even be like a thing like it may take a little bit of homage to Myst 4, like we're not spoil too much about Myst 4, but like one of the brothers is more trustworthy than the other, or turns out to be more trustworthy than the other, so they could have a thing where like if you befriend them or build up enough rep, you get like a better ending somehow. I don't know. It'll still end relatively the same way, um, but like it'll actually tell you what's really going on. You know, instead of you having to figure it out on your own. That's the other thing I'm considering. Um, like in terms of retcons, like you can't actually communicate with someone for a linking book in actual Myst canon. Um, so yeah. Um, so I'm wondering if like one of the things that I am playing could be playing around with is that related to the technology that he was making in Rhyme. He actually like, created a way to sort of to see people, in the room with the like and talk to people like over between ages, basically. Um, audio visual thing. Um, um, so that you can still like actually talk to agents, but actually having to link into Dunny. Um, so that could be interesting. Um, Otherwise, you could do like the whole rep thing. Again, where if you build up enough rep, one of the brothers they'll have to spill the beans and give you the information you need to, rather than like don't touch the green book. It would just be like, because like not knowing that and not being able to actually speak with Atris, you would just see this book leading to this room with a man in it, and you'd be like, huh, because he couldn't see you because how could he? Um, Again, with technology from Ryan, he might be able to. but then would he be able to communicate with you um, directly? So it'd be interesting to look. Um, there'd be, I mean, the only other problem is that there wouldn't necessarily be that much of a point to building directly with the other brother because he would not spill the beans. Like there's no way he would reasonably do that. Um, it'd probably just be an alternate ending. He kind of likes you, but just kill you last. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's basically all I have to um say about it. I kind of I have my doubts this is what they're going to do. It seems like they're going to be the puzzle randomization, which is kind of cool. Um, they're they're visually changing some of the things that more so than they had with Real Mist, which was just sort of a remake. They're not like adding new details or changing that much about the aesthetic of things. It looks like like the whole like I noticed in some of the screenshots, like the different uh like the constellation puzzle has a different look to it, radically different look to it, which is kind of neat. But you know, is this just gonna be Real Myth 2.0 with optional puzzle randomization and new ways of interacting with regard to VR? Like that could be cool enough, but I'm really hoping for more. Because oh yeah, and the other thing I want to maybe toy with is the idea of having like creatures and making the realms, the ages feel more alive in some ways. Like I think there's like monkeys in the Channelwood Age, and they're like just nowhere to be found. There could be like some puzzles interacting with them, perhaps. Um, I mean, it's quite possible that Sirius and Akhenar just wiped them out. Um, but yeah, I'm always spoiling too much, but it's a freaking like decades old game now. Um, but anyway, yeah, uh, that's kind of it. I think. Um, no, I'm kind of excited for it. I might get it on PC and like play it on the channel. Play about VR initially at least. Just to, like get the base experience. Um, yeah, like I'm excited for it, but like I'm also like mourning the potential of a proper remake, and this and having doubts that this is going to be that. Maybe they're going to surprise us. Maybe there's going to be a lot of additions and changes beyond just what um, we've heard about so far. But I don't necessarily have that high hopes. So anyway, let's just head on over to our wall of patrons where your name could be. If you donate as little as $1 per month, and you can put your donation toward all of these games are possibly a totally different set of games, but depending on how late you're watching this, um, chances are if you're watching this, this is kind of uh, well, whatever. Like if you're watching this long after I posted it, there may be a different list. At the very least, there probably may be more donations. But you know, yeah, for the updated list, you can go to patreon.com/pitfallplays. Um, and of course, if you're interested in donating, you should go there too. And I don't have a generic outro, so I'm just gonna do my Persona 5 outro. That's what I'm playing right now on stream anyway. So gotta move my eye line up. What that? I'll move the freaking window. Okay, there we go. So anyway, um, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this overfan. There's a bunch of other things you do that will be appreciated as well. In case, thanks for watching. Till next time, sayonara.